the media's attention to this region has increased exponentially last 4 years, especially after COVID. And one of the reasons for this, I see, UAE was the first country they opened its borders or society because after they made very successful vaccination. So this started the, I think, big movement that I see. At that time, lots of investments or families came to UAE and started making holidays, and they said, okay, it's a nice place to live, business is friendly, why don't we move here?
Good morning, good afternoon, hello and welcome everyone. We have a special guest with us today, Mr. Ersoy Erkazanci, Bloomberg HD's Dubai correspondent, representative, having lived in the UAE for 9 years. Ersoy kindly accepted to join us today for a session with Trending Echoes. Without further ado, I'll pass the microphone over to Ersoy to introduce himself to us. Please, Ersoy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much, Suha. I mean, by the way, you are special to me. You mentioned me about a special guest, but you and Trends, also I'm following you and Trends for a long time. It's my honor, it's my pleasure to be here. I mean, I came from Dubai, but I mean, it's a nice journey to be here, and I hope we will have a nice conversation. But briefly, let me introduce myself. I'm from Turkey, Ankara. I'm a chemical engineer with an MBA. I did engineering 2 years. Then I jumped into banking. I was in asset management industry for 17 years. And 9 years ago, my wife got an offer from Dubai. And we said, okay, shall we go? Shall we try? And it's okay, let's try. And I have 2 kids. And at that time, I was working for a bank, and it was owned by Doğuş Group. And Doğuş Group is also known in Dubai with their brands, Nusret, Günaydın. Yes. But unfortunately, at that time, they have a small office here, and I am a banker, so they said, sorry, Ersoy, we don't have a place for you. And I told my wife, okay, let's move. I can find a job. Luckily, if you say fate, kader, chance, whatever, I find myself on Bloomberg HD, which is a partnership between Bloomberg International and Turkish television. And my role is to tell Turkey what happens in the region to Turkish audience. I cover also oil and energy prices and Asian markets. But this gave me a very good perspective about the region, because I have to follow as a journalist all the numbers, all the developments, and tell Turkey the right news. And also I have seen all the ups and downs, both in the economy and like political relationships. But luckily, maybe we'll talk more details. At the point now where we came is such an excellent time in terms of relations, and they defined it. They said UAE and Turkey is now a strategic partnership, which is very important, I think. So thank you again for inviting me.
Most welcome. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you with us here, Ersoy. Your depth of experience and knowledge about the region, not just UAE, I think is a major asset for all of us here. So we have a lot to learn from you. And with that, I'd like to start with our questions and briefly, what we'll talk about today is the latest developments in our relations between the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council region, and Turkey, but also some of the finer details of it, below the headline or behind the headlines, what we read and see and experience here. Like, for instance, social media, some of the cultural elements of our diplomatic relations, economic partnership, the youth element. So I'd like to touch upon these topics one by one, and starting with, let's say, the latest developments. And the reason why I'd like to step on that first is because you follow latest developments on a daily basis because of your day-to-day activities and work at Bloomberg. So you are closest to the front there. You watch Turkish and international media. So the question I would ask first would be, how does media perceive these developing relations, these closer ties between Turkey and the Gulf region? And in specifically, I'd like to probe your view on what the perception out there in Istanbul, in Ankara or London is about developing partnerships between Turkey and the Gulf region, be it in finance, investment or trade and tourism.
Yeah,
over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Suha. Well, first of all, I feel lucky. I'm working for Bloomberg HD, which is a Turkish television, but I am based in Dubai in Bloomberg International's office, which gives me a chance to be in the middle of everything, with all the news, all the economic data, and also UAE is such an international place that you see many international people from all around the world. Either they live here or they visit here. So it gives you a very good chance to know, feel what's happening globally, not only in the region. Coming back to your question about Turkey and this region's relationships, to be honest, when we moved in 2015, it was not so good. And Turkey was mostly, in terms of relationship, mostly good with Qatar. But in nations' relationship, this can happen. Sometimes you can be economically good, sometimes politically good, sometimes it can be bad times. But I mean, this is reality. I mean, this is nothing to blame somebody, or it's the nature of relationship, politics. But currently, the perception in media is really very positive. I am from Ankara. You mentioned about Ankara. Ankara is the capital of Turkey, and mainly, of course, the political relations goes through Ankara. And recently, what I observed, our President Erdogan came to here a lot. Mohammed bin Zayed went to Turkey a couple of times. So first of all, it started with these visits. And the thing that I told you that it was not good became better maybe last 3 years ago when the visits started. So first, of course, when the politicians open the door, then the other things come behind.
Business
community follows, economic agreements follows. And especially after that, I see media news much more positive. Istanbul, you mentioned, it's of course, people, if they know Turkey, it's a bit like Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Istanbul is a more trade and business center. It's most populated commercial hub. It's like Dubai. So the press in Turkey, if we say national press, is generally writing positive things. Not, of course, reality, not just positive things. But especially Turkish community is very curious about UAE lifestyle. Because recently a lot of influencers from Turkey came to Dubai. Some artists came to Abu Dhabi also, or I don't know, there are lots of events going on, Formula One, other things. But overall, I see both, not only Turkey side, but also UAE side, press is more interested about the news in Turkey or in UAE or in GCC, much more. Mostly, but interestingly, maybe Turkey has we have a trade deficit, generally current account deficit. So generally, Turkey needs international influence. Yes.
Foreign currency.
Yes, foreign direct investment or hot money flow. So when there is a money flow either from GCC or from other regions, of course it takes more attention, especially in the business media. I can say. You also ask about London or let me say international media. Of course, recently this region takes too much attention. Couple of reasons I see. One of them is if you think about the UK economy, Europe economy, US economy, they are not doing very well. But when you think of this GCC region, the economy is doing well. Oil prices now it's a bit $80, but again, it gives credit or financing capabilities, investment capabilities, and also all the big projects are announced in this region, especially in Saudi Arabia, but also in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar, Oman. They're all big projects. That's why the media's attention to this region has increased exponentially last 4 years, especially after COVID. And one of the reasons for this, I see, UAE was the first country they opened its borders or society because after they made very successful vaccination. So this started the I think big movement that I see. At that time, lots of investments or families came to UAE and started making holidays, and they said, okay, it's a nice place to live, business is friendly, why don't we move here? So I think both Turkey's interest to here from media is increasing, UAE's interest to Turkey is increasing, and global media's to this region is increasing in a positive way.
It's very interesting what you just said, Ersoy, because there is certainly this drive to attract more talent to the region, be it from investor, business, or even freelancer visas to short-term job seeker visas. And now we know of a GCC-wide attempt to roll out a regional, like a Schengen-type visa, where you can obtain visa from any member country and travel around. So these are all attempts to sort of lift the region's profile even higher in the global international community's eyes.
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
I mean, what you are saying is very true, very correct observation. Previously, the perception for the region was like luxury hotels, luxury cars. People who want to spend money can come to the region. Lifestyle things. But now, when UAE announce something, it takes so much attention. For example, they say we want to be the capital of artificial intelligence. We want to be the capital of cryptocurrency, fintech, technology. So, please, all the talents come to the region, to UAE, and they support them very nicely. I mean, so that's why they are not only attracting investors or money influence or people who wants to spend. There's also a big attraction point. Tourism, is very big, but this attempt inviting talents to the region has changed the perception also. Not only rich people or like investors should come, but our borders are open to everybody.
I think that also ties in with the GCC's attempt to diversify its economy out of hydrocarbon dependence, but also prepare for the post-oil or post-gas era in the next 20 to 30 years. And they've made enormous strides in that direction. One is to, and I think we should say first that this region depends on free trade, security, and prosperity. Otherwise, there are underground resources, energy sources and minerals, but very much it depends, as you also mentioned, on trade, investment, and tourism. And in that regard, last year we saw, Turkey and UAE sign a comprehensive economic partnership agreement to increase their bilateral trade volume from around 15 billion to 40 billion in the next within the next 5 years, more than threefold. And from what I heard, the target was 50 billion, but I think there is a midterm target as well to reach 40 billion, somewhere in between. And more recently, Turkey and the Gulf Cooperation Council initiated talks on a free trade agreement, a group-wide agreement, not just with individual countries, but a group-wide one. And as relations evolved over the past decade, it brings the question as to what are some of the key sectors, industries driving this growth. In other words, what are the complementarities that allow Turkey and GCC to see eye to eye on many issues, especially on the economic front?
Okay. First of all, one of the observations you mentioned is very correct, which is diversification. UAE or the region has seen that, yes, oil and gas is a very major source, and the region is lucky that they have these natural resources. But this is finite. I mean, in one time it will finish, so we have to act accordingly. We have to start, and not only this being finite, but also climate change and the natural events that we see is forcing countries to make this change. Energy transition, green economy, and last year UAE sustainability. These are not only trending topics, but these are the things that people are interested. And last year UAE made an amazing thing, being a host, COP28, and it was a big,
we both were there. I mean, we witnessed it with our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the attendance was maybe the highest attendance. It was very comprehensive. Youth was there. All the people around was there. And it was, I think, according to it was a very success story, because there were too much dilemma about it. They were saying, how can a oil-dependent economy can host
this event?
Host this event? But what UAE or Saudi is saying, GCC is saying, that we are in the same boat. If we don't solve this problem together,
we'll all suffer.
We will all suffer. So it was I think, big success. So this overall perspective is very, very successful. Coming back to GCE, Turkiye UAE CEPES agreement, or GCC free trade agreement, it's a very, very successful milestone. We started about the politicians' visit. When they open the door, the business comes behind. So after this opening, I think it was signed last year. And it's a very good, very detailed agreement.
In March last year,
yes. Comprehensive economic partnership agreement. To be honest, also I learned it because I was always thinking it's a free trade agreement. It's always called, but because UAE is under the umbrella of GCC, you have to do this agreement. You cannot make a free trade agreement directly with UAE and
with a member country. You have to do it that way.
That's why then after that we have seen UAE made agreement with other countries, also SIPA agreement,
like Indonesia, Seychelles, Mauritius. Yes.
So also this is another vision of UAE, by the way. They say that we don't want to be only a regional leader. We want to be a global player. We want to do agreement with all of the countries. So we shouldn't think UAE as a only regional hub here. So this the vision of UAE, which is very successful thing. Yes, now Turkey and UAE agreement is very important. What I see, first of all, tourism is very big between two big countries. Either from Turkey or UAE goes to Turkey or UAE a lot. Gold trade is very big, important. But Turkey is very good in manufacturing. So Turkey exports lots of goods to UAE, especially food. Or recently I see services. for example, restaurants.
Yeah, we'll come to that
yes,
shortly.
yes.
Yeah.
But if you ask me the big potential, I see big potential in logistics. Turkish companies can use UAE as a big logistics hub, and also construction and infrastructure. Turkey's companies are very successful.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now in Saudi as well.
In Saudi, in Africa, but maybe if this is a message, I would say Turkish companies should be more visible here.
Yeah, more proactive.
There's very big potential. So I have to admit that I'm not a big trade expert, so I don't know all the details of this agreement. But I mean, they should work with an expert so that what are the advantages of using this agreement. But e-commerce can be another good topic.
E-commerce, also green energy.
Green energy.
Clean energy, or let's call it. We see a lot of interest and uptake here from sovereign wealth funds around the region into Turkish assets, into production plants, into greenfield investments, don't we?
Yes, and also recently I think ADQ invested in Turkey a lot. If we can say some names, Emirates NBD has bought a bank in Turkey, Deniz Bank.
Deniz Bank, yeah.
There was in the media some talks about FAB's interests in a bank, Yapı Kredi, in Turkey. DP World has a port in Yarımca, Turkey. MR has offices.
MR Square. Indeed, we did our Istanbul virtual office launch at MR Square.
I think there's a big potential. I mean, Turkey and UAE can increase the relationship much more
in
better.
many ways.
In many ways. So I think it's a bit good sign. It's a big potential. I don't know the details of free trade agreement with GCC, but of course it will open much more new doors. And Turkey, as a perception, I realized that they don't know this region very well.
Turkish businessmen.
They were maybe
language barriers.
Maybe language barriers, or maybe because Europe was much more closer. We have we
traditionally accustomed to that.
Yes, and also there was Turkish community for many years in Germany, for example.
Yeah.
So this
closer ties with their instead.
So that's why our trade partner was mainly Europe and US, but I see the numbers are increasing, and I think we will see more in the future.
Most of Turkey's export growth has happened in this region, actually, in Middle East and Africa, rather than in the traditional markets of Europe, Western Europe and North America, actually. So I was looking at some of the figures from the past years. It's amazing. And if you look at, for instance, Turkey's trade volume with Africa, it has grown over 300% over the past decade. And as you said, Dubai is an important logistics hub in that regard, both for Asia Pacific region and for Africa.
Yeah, sometimes they ask me this question, Turkish businessmen or investors. UAE is just 10 million population, or Saudi Arabia 40 million population, because Turkey's population is 85 million. Yeah. It's a big market. They say it's a small market, why should we come? And I tell them, this is like you are getting on a stage. Yeah. If you come to UAE and if you are successful, it's such a interesting population here. I mean, so from this success, you can go to India, you can go to Africa.
You can sell it elsewhere.
It's everywhere. So you should see this region or UAE as a hub, but you should be definitely should be locally present here, because sometimes I hear Turkish people say, okay, if there's a potential, I can jump into the plane and come. No, it doesn't work
that way. You have to be on the ground.
Yeah, you have to be on the ground. You have to tell them that we trust you. That's why I invest your country.
That takes me actually an interesting topic to cultural exchange and cultural ties between the two regions. You lived in the UAE for almost a decade now, and you know both sides well. In what ways do you think have Turkey, GCC, social and cultural ties, exchanges influence the bilateral ties between these regions? And how do these exchanges impact mutual perceptions of our people, both in the UAE and in Turkey? For instance, what are some of the myths and misperceptions about the Gulf region or Istanbul?
Okay. It's a I think it's a very, very nice topic to talk about it.
We can go on and on for long.
but the first thing I want to say is sometimes I meet Emiratis or local people here, and especially if they are women, if I say I'm from Turkey, they start talking Turkish to me.
Oh.
I said, how come? They say, oh, we watch all Turkish drama. So it's one of my biggest observations and surprise to me. But of course, it makes me smile, and I start talking them to Turkish. But it shows the of this soft power of television or Turkish dramas. So first of all, perception of Turkey here among the community is very high. If I say, if I meet someone, I am from Turkey, they say, oh, I like Turkey, I've been to Turkey, I know this restaurant, I have been there, and they tell some place that I have never been.
You have never been. Me
never.
Too. Yeah.
Yes. So especially Turkish TV dramas, of course, affect this. If they like something near the Bosphorus, or even how the dress, the actor or actress, so they are very popular here, and when they come here, like they are like celebrity. And other thing that surprised me was when I came here, they said there's direct flights to Trabzon. I said, okay, Trabzon, I never been to Trabzon. I'm curious, but it's the northeast part of Turkey. And for Turkish people, if you go to holiday, I don't know, you go to Antalya, Bodrum, Çeşme, you don't go to Trabzon. But then I realized that for the people in this geography, they miss green, they miss nice air, maybe a bit cool weather. Especially in Trabzon, it's very green, cold weather. By the sea, food is nice. So when I see some videos or social media, it really surprises me. I mean, now there's too much interest. But coming to some myths or wrong beliefs, perception about this region is first of being very conservative or restrictive in terms of social life. There are sometimes interesting questions, weird questions like, what should I bring with me, like to wear? Can I don't know, if I go to sea by the beach, can I wear this? I said, come on, I mean, it's a very country, that's a normal, very social, very liberal country. So one of these, let me say, wrong perception or myths, people who never been to this region, is this one. This region being very restrictive or big punishments.
There's some prejudices or some stereotypical images in their mind.
It is changing, but there is still. Not only, by the way, for Turkish community. If you go to Europe or US, sometimes the perception about this region is being
very negative,
very conservative, but it's changing. Also, Saudi Arabia is changing in terms of social life. What about the other way? If you think about Turkey, Istanbul is yes, I have to admit, Istanbul is traffic is very bad. It's a mess. But I mean, if you just say Istanbul is not safe and people are behaving to tourists very badly,
discriminatory way.
I mean, it can happen also in other countries, but generally Turkish culture is very
open and hospitable.
We are known for being hospitality. I think these are the wrong perception. It should change, and I think it's changing.
Yeah. And that brings me actually to the topic of soft power, and you being a celebrity here in the best known, probably as they call the Mukhtar of Dubai. So my next question pertains to TV series and the audience, the wide audience, as you mentioned, here in the Gulf. Because internet and cable TV, as you know, transcends borders, and they push sponsored entertainment or soap operas, series to audiences in the Gulf. These series, I think, inject powerful narratives, and they reinforce certain points of view that suit established social norms, or sometimes they challenge them as well. In terms of the lifestyle expectations, marital relations, gender equality, and so on. And same goes about Turkish food, not only with restaurants popping up everywhere on a weekly basis, perhaps, but also well-known brands like Günaydın and Nusret, which you mentioned. In your view, do these brands are representative of our culture? And what brand value of these engagements have? How do they contribute to Turkey-Gulf ties? And vice versa, some big brand names like in the Gulf, such as the Emirates, Burj Khalifa, or Burj Al Arab, or other well-known. Dubai by itself is a brand,
yes.
It's part and parcel of the UAE as a nation brand. So, how do these icons or images help improve our bilateral relations?
It's a good question. First of all, I didn't know that Turkey's biggest export sector was dramas.
Yes.
Because previously we were known as we are still good at textiles than manufacturing. But one of my friends is working in this sector, and he told me the numbers. I was shocked because previously when I was growing in Turkey, we were watching I don't know, Mexican or Brazilian soap operas. Now globally, wherever I go, they say, "Oh, my mom is watching this, my dad is watching this. I know Turkish," not only in this region. So it's really one of the biggest sector, and it's really soft power. But of course, sometimes also in Turkey, this discussion point, is it really representing our society, or sometimes because they try to touch social issues? So it's also be a bit debate in Turkey also. But I think overall it gives a positive perception about our culture, our lifestyle, our food, and it really affects the community. But if you think of a negative way, I mean, if a country wants to be more conservative, and if a Turkish drama is like promoting
portraying different viewpoints or styles,
it can cause some problems, and I have
controversy.
And some of the times I hear, I mean, in some countries they ban Turkish dramas from time to time. But overall, I think it really helps communities to understand each other and know the culture, and of course, as a branding, it's really
everything in a way.
Yes, it really helps. And also in Dubai, everybody knows Dubai with I don't know, Burj Khalifa or Burj Al Arab,
Dubai Mall. But also now Abu Dhabi Global Markets, which is your area, by the way. You come from finance.
Yes. Abu Dhabi is known for, by the way, of course, Formula One comes here, and everybody comes here. ADGM is Abu Dhabi Global Markets, doing excellently good. And recently in Bloomberg, there are many news that all of the big hedge fund managers opening an office in
I was going to ask
Abu Dhabi. So there's a very big interest to Abu Dhabi. Yas Island, Yas Mall, Aldar
theme parks there.
Aldar is doing amazing job. I mean,
Saadiyat.
Saudi Thailand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to do also as a tourist. Also, I recently came across Grand Mosque again.
Yeah,
It's
Sheikh
amazing.
Zayed Mosque.
Sheikh Zayed Mosque
The
is
iconic
amazing
place to visit.
So these iconic buildings are everywhere, and it's very important. I mean, if you say somebody to Eiffel Tower, they all know that it is in Paris, and now there's Paris Olympics. Maybe we should also touch on these sports, because recently in the region, for example, in Abu Dhabi, I think there was 2 weeks ago, there was USA Serbia basketball game.
Yeah. They have the NBA teams play here. Yes,
and NBA
nations.
Play
at Etihad Arena.
So it affects more people. Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in football. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Saudi. So it was a big thing, and everybody was thinking Messi was going to come, but Messi is now in Miami. But sports is very big. You know, Qatar was a host for World Cup. So this region has seen the importance of sports organization, and
as a form of soft power.
So yes, I totally
the nation branding, and they invest, like sovereign wealth funds invest in foreign soccer clubs like British teams and so on.
Yes. And also, maybe we should also mention about influencers. These are really affecting people. Either Turkish influencers coming to Dubai, or either UAE influencers going to Turkey, because it's a new media, let me say. Thank you. You told me you're a celebrity. I don't feel like I'm a celebrity, because mainstream media is not as strong as before. Now there's TikTok,
new media,
new media, but they've seen the both parts of it. So everybody's trying to balance between them, digital and new media and traditional media.
Yeah, and I think you do that very well, Ersoy, with your presence on Bloomberg, on traditional TV, but also on social media.
Thank you. I try to. I try to act like a young people. Even I opened my TikTok account, and I started my own podcast. Hopefully I will invite you to my podcast also.
Inshallah. I'll be happy to, of course, look forward to it. And how do you see the future of our relations going forward? Maybe in a few sentences.
Well, I think very positively, because I mean, we have lived, let me say, bad times, but when you see bad times, you understand the importance of good times. Now the relationship are strategically very good, both politically and economically. I think Turkish businessmen or residents we will see more Turkish people coming to the region. I see they are buying houses a lot from here, investments.
Sector, actually,
also, they started opening offices here, and we will see that will increase. That will increase more, and we will see the vice versa. I mean, UAE residents will. Actually, most of them has a house in Turkey, but we will see this will increase more. And currently, as far as I know, the Turkish population is 50,000 people here. I think we will see this number to go higher. To
grow, I agree. There's a lot of interest, both in terms of tourism, but also business and investment. And if, of course, this economic partnership agreement, as we start to see fruits, there will be more sectors being, brought into the snowball effect and the spillover effects of the businesses that work here in both countries. Lastly, would you have a message for the youth, for young Emiratis, for young residents of not just UAE but the GCC region, who we see as more and more active these days on social media and digital media? You, from the background of this sector, what would you like to say?
Well, now behind you I see the name of your company, Trends Research and Advisory. I would like to mention the importance of research, because especially younger generation, they try to avoid reading either books or research. Not avoid, but a bit lazy, because social media is much more easier, short, maybe fun. But if you don't read, if you don't know the topic in depth, you cannot increase your intellectual capacity. If you want to be a speaker, if you want to talk a nice conversation, you should know, you should be knowledgeable. Knowledge is number one. So my biggest advice to the youth should be spend less time on social media and
more on reading.
More on reading. I mean, yes, it might be a bit tough, but if they enjoy, they get the enjoyment of reading, they will read more, and they should, of course, read your research notes.
It will be a long-term investment for them in their personal well-being and development.
And since we are talking, of course, about the Turkiye and GCC relationship, of course, if they haven't seen Turkey, I would recommend them to go to Turkey.
Now is the time in the summer.
Or vice versa. If Turkish community doesn't know this region, they should definitely come and see here.
Make sure they come in winter.
Yes. So I have to finish with this. When I moved to the region, they said in UAE there are 3 seasons: spring, summer, hell. Of course, they were exaggerating, but in summer it's like 50 degrees. Now there's humidity, so don't come in summer. Come between November and May.
Thank you, Ersoy. Thank you for being with us, for sharing your views and your time to explain your experience, your wealth of experience in this region. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm sure so do our guests. And I would like to once again thank you, our guests, for being with us here. We had a very special guest today from Bloomberg HT in Dubai, Mr. Ersoy Erkazanci. And I would like to extend our sincere thanks and regards to you, Ersoy, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much.
And make sure you follow Trending Echoes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shukran.